Hey students, if you're not already, come on up to the front. Let's have some fun as we worship. And put your hands up like this. Here we go. Your favor waits within the future. My dreams are small compared to yours. Why should I worry about tomorrow when I know that all I gotta do is trust you, Lord? Sing this out, come on. 'Cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Every little thing's gonna be just fine. And whether I can see it now, I know you will work it out for good. 'Cause every little thing, everything will be alright. Behind the scenes and in the details, you planned the perfect way for me. Why would I dwell upon the road's uncertainties when all I gotta do is look to you? All I gotta do is look to you. Yeah. 'Cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Hands up like this, come on. And every little thing's gonna be just fine. And whether I can see it now, I know you will work it out for good. 'Cause every little thing, hands up, everything will be alright. Every little thing, everything will be alright. Every little thing, everything will be alright. Every little thing, yeah. Sing this out. 'Cause whether I can see it now, I know you will work it out for good. Sing. 'Cause every little thing, everything will be alright. Cause whether I can see it now, I know you will work it out for good. 'Cause every little thing, everything will be alright.
Are we sing? Closer, you are closer. We can feel you moving everything. You're present in this moment. Together we believe. Sing it loud. Here and now, your kingdom lives. Here and now, in our midst. Here and now, your kingdom lives. Here and now, yeah. Focus, give us focus. So all of our attention is on you. 'Cause you're present in this moment. We stand upon your truth. Here and now, your kingdom lives. Here and now, in our midst. Here and now, cannot divide us. The voices of this world will not define us. For we believe your kingdom lives. Your kingdom lives here and now. Come on. Your kingdom lives here and now. In our right here and now. Your kingdom lives here and now. Here and now, yeah. Oh, right here and now. Yeah. Hey guys, we're gonna sing one more song together. It's called There Is a King. We introduced it a couple weekends ago, if you remember it. If you do, I encourage you, either let these words sit on your heart or sing them like you mean them. Let's do it. Let's sing it together. There is a king. There is a king. He's seated among us. Let every heart receive him now. For where there is praise, he will inhabit. There will be grace and mercy all around. And every burden will be lifted in his presence. Every trophy will be laid down at his feet. There is a name that reigns above all others. Jesus Christ, the King above all kings. For unto the Lamb honor and glory, worthy is he who overcame, buried in shame, risen in power. He is alive, and the stone is rolled away. All our worship will belong to him forever. Death is conquered, and our Savior holds the keys. There is a name that reigns above all others. Jesus Christ, the King above all kings. You're the King above all kings. For it won't be long, we will behold him, and every tear he'll wipe away, and we'll be at home. The war will be over, soon we will meet our Savior face to face. Yeah. And every burden will be lifted in his presence. Yes, it will. Every trophy will be laid down at his feet. Yeah. Yours is the name that reigns above all others. Jesus Christ, the King above all Students, thank you so much for singing with us. You guys may return to your seats. There's this thought I've been having recently that I figured may be worth sharing. The thought is this: I never want to be guilty of sneaking Jesus in to my life. Matter of fact, the only thing I want to be guilty of is centering everything I do on him. Jesus doesn't need to be snuck into your life because he's not a fictional character. Jesus is not a gimmick. He's not an idea that makes you feel good. He is a king who reigns over my life. I'll say it again, the only thing I want to be guilty of is being a Christ-centered difference maker. I'll say it again, the only thing I want to be guilty of is being Christ-centered in everything I do. On this stage, at home with my family, with my friends, on the team. I mean, fill in the blank. I want my life to be centered on Jesus everywhere. I mean, aren't we Christ-centered difference makers? We're gonna take communion together right now, and maybe I wanna be the voice that encourages you to have that difficult conversation right now. Is my life centered on Christ? Truly? Or do I sneak Jesus in on the weekends? Now, if you're new here or you're not a follower of Jesus, feel free to just sit in this moment, take it all in. Have that conversation with the Lord if you'd like, but for those of you who call yourself Christ-centered difference makers, make sure that's true in this moment while we take communion. The bread is just a symbol, the juice is just a symbol to remind us, to recenter us, to make sure that our lives are centered on Jesus. Let me pray for us, and then we'll take communion together. Jesus, we acknowledge you as King. I mean, we sang the song, but may it be true that we mean it. May those words be heavy on our hearts. May it not be a gimmick or an Instagram story that we were at church this weekend, but God, may it be true that you are the center of our lives. And we remember that now over the sacrifice that you made for us on the cross, in the resurrection you gave 3 days later. Jesus, you are our King, and we love you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
As you know, we are in week 3 of this At the Movies series. But in case you missed any of the past 2 weeks, let me remind us real quick of the verse that this series was breathed from. It's Galatians 5:22 and 23, and it says this. It says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law." Those are the fruits of the Spirit. And what we've been doing in this series is we've been taking movies that a ton of us have seen, and we've been having a ton of fun looking at these characters and trying to apply these fruits of the Spirit to them. We've been making a CCDM squad, as you've seen, but tonight's gonna be a little bit different. We are gonna watch a 12-minute video here and do the same thing with the fruits of the Spirit. But after the video, I'm gonna come out here and I'm going to unpack the 2 fruits of the Spirit that we're checking out tonight. Let's check out the screens right now.
What up, CCV students? We are back with At the Movies. Week 3, I'm here with my good pal, Jonathan III.
You have never described me in our years of friendship as your pal, so I appreciate it. Hey, I'm John, and what's up?
John's from the Chandler campus.
Yes.
Emily, Photoshop face right here, could not be here, but we miss her. We'll do it without her, and it'll be worse.
Yeah,
But we'll try. Anyways, last week, Taylor and Jimmy were here, and we talked about the Spider-Man movie. Quick, give them a grade. How'd they do?
they did pretty good, but thinking about what we're gonna do here, I give them like an 8 Jake Gyllenhaals out of 45.
I don't know.
Just
You can't have too many Jake Gyllenhaals.
not too many.
All right, so listen, this week we are talking about a movie about a bald guy reluctantly teaming up with another bald guy to fight a third big bald guy. And this movie is none other than Fast and the Furious.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw. And if you have not seen Hobbs and Shaw, John, give him a little recap. Give him a little, talk him through it.
You see, this movie of the Fast Saga has everything you could want except Vin Diesel or really any other primary characters from the Fast and the Furious franchise. It's got cars that defy the laws of physics. It's got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson doing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson things, curling things, doing things with his muscles that specifically are meant to show off his muscles. He's working out in the beginning of it. This movie has all of it. And then they're fighting a robot guy to try and save the world.
Robot guy, Idris Elba.
Yes.
Anyway, so here's the deal. I personally love this movie. This movie is perfect. It makes no sense. It's 10 Vin Diesel's heads out of 10 Vin Diesel's heads. I love this movie. What about you?
I don't. Though it's entertaining, and yes, it has it all, it doesn't have what makes a great movie. Sorry, hot take.
Stop.
I probably never need to see it again in my entire.
Oh, that's the, I feel terrible. All right, hey, what about you? How many Vin Diesels does this movie get? Have you seen it? How do you rank it? All right, guys, this is the rapid fire. Rapid fire. So, rapid fire, we're gonna ask questions, we're gonna talk about them, think brief, to the point answers. That's the plan. So, question for you first, John. What car would Jesus drive?
It's actually not a car. The cars to me weren't that impressive in the movie. Hot takes on Hobbs and Shaw. But it's
Just
that
a hater.
I know, right? No, but for real though, the coolest part is the motorcycle that Brixton, that's Idris Elba's character, that motorcycle, how it can contort, like climb on walls, like do all that. I'm driving that thing. That is the best thing. That is what Jesus would drive.
Because it's the best thing?
It is the best thing. What would you say?
Oh, well, I would choose the Doom Buggy that they used to get out of all. Here's why. The Doom Buggy's versatile. It can climb on all sorts of things. It can go off ramps. It can go through the air. And listen, Jesus, versatile guy, probably. He's in lots of different spaces. He needs to be versatile. That's what Jesus is driving. Question for you then, John, is Hobbs and Shaw a Christmas movie?
No, it's not. There's literally no way. I tried. You asked me this question, and I've thought so hard about this. I don't think there is a way to argue this is a Christmas movie. Can you?
No, you can't. All right,
absolutely not.
All right, next question. Who would be the better disciple, Hobbs or Shaw?
It's definitely Hobbs.
Why?
He's got a strong sense of what is right. He was willing to do what was right, even when it cost his family. Like he betrayed, even his crime, Lord Dad, to do what was right. He's definitely got a way better heart than Shaw.
All right, well, listen, hear me out. The disciples are not from America. Rock from America, Jason Statham not from America. He'd be a better disciple. Boom, done. Next,
not a stretch at all.
My question for you to talk about to the person next to you. I'm willing to make the argument that the Fast Saga is better than the Marvel Saga. Talk about it. Go. All right, hey, so this segment, here's the plan. We want to convince each other that this movie is based on the Bible, and we've been doing this every week, but think about it like this. Oftentimes, you may have someone in your circle, in your small group, that can only watch movies that are about Jesus things. And I'm just here to tell you that this movie maybe is possibly about the Bible. So, John, convince me this movie is about the Bible.
That's right. For kid in the group right now who's only allowed to watch VeggieTales. This is for you to convince your mom that you're allowed to watch Hobbs and Shaw.
You can watch Hobbs and Shaw.
What you tell her is it's actually the story of the prodigal son. Stick with me. The prodigal son is the story about a son leaving home and then returning back to his family to make things right. That's Luke Hobbs' story. Because if you watch this whole movie and you would have asked me to bet $100,000 that this movie was gonna end up in Samoa, where his family has to fight bad guys with sticks, I would have lost all of that money. Because there is no way I would have thought this movie's about family. But classic Fast Saga.
Fast Saga, baby.
It's all about family.
All about family.
Even when Vin Diesel's not in it to remind you, they still come back to family.
Family, familia.
And that's what the prodigal son is about. So this is for you guys who are only allowed to watch VeggieTales and Bible Man. Big throwback. Big throwback.
That's
Hobbs and Shaw is about family.
About the prodigal son, about family. Okay, listen, I'm gonna be simpler. There's a moment, there is possibly the best moment in this whole movie where the Rock has tow truck in one hand, Shane holding a helicopter in the other hand, and just for a second, it looks like someone's on the cross. It's all I'm trying to say.
You can't do this.
Okay, you know what? I'll go a little deeper. At the end, they have to fight Idris Elba, and the whole way they take him down is this idea that hey, I have to sacrifice myself so you can make it happen. I'm gonna get hit so you can get a hit in there. Here's the reality. Jesus had to go on the cross. He had to take the hit so we could go to heaven.
That's a better one. I'll ride with that one. Okay. I'm all right with that.
It could work.
All right, we're coming back with this segment where we're trying to figure out how to be Jesus to a character from this movie if they showed up at your school. So I'm calling out one of the biggest cameos in the movie. It's not Ryan Reynolds, it's Kevin Hart. When you don't expect, because the thing is about Kevin Hart's character in this is you don't expect him to be trying as hard as he is. He's down on his luck. He's now an air marshal. He used to be Delta Force something they say that sounds really official in military. And then now he's just living on the way he puts it is he's in a cockpit of farts. And that's what he does all day. He's trying too hard to fit in. Yes. Jake, how do you be Jesus to a try-hard like Kevin Hart?
Listen, I think personally, if someone is trying really hard, the hard thing that you would have to do in that moment is actually let them into the thing they're trying so hard about. I think what tends to happen is when someone's the try hard and do all this extra stuff, we tend to push back even more. But I think the reality is if you can be Jesus to someone by actually just bringing them into your circle. Hey, I know you're annoying. I know you're a little much. I know you're settle down, Kevin.
Yes.
Settle down, Kevin. But it would be, bring him in, and I think over time you realize that that person will probably be trying less hard. Okay, so listen, every single week we have been assembling, we've been building our CCDM team. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
And you want to be a part of it. And the plan, basically what we're doing is we're grabbing characters from each movie and we are taking traits that they display and we're building a team of hopefully traits that we as Christ-centered difference makers want to latch onto and do. So listen, first week we talked about Franklin. He was super faithful and he did the right thing even when it was tough. We also talked about Blue, the dinosaur, Blue, exhibits lots of self-control. He could have ate Chris Pratt, decided not to. Last week, Jimmy talked about Happy and just the fact that he was so kind, even though when probably he should have been yelling at Peter Parker for screwing everything up. He shows back up and is kind to that person in the moment. And Taylor talked about Janice. Janice is extremely patient. She had to deal with the steaming of clothes and deal with Jake Gyllenhaal. His face is beautiful, but his words were hurtful.
You never called it what it was.
And she was just patient. She was in the moment being patient. So who are we adding from this movie? From Hobbs and Shaw, who are we adding, John?
Well, since Emily's not here, I've got to add a twofer. We're bringing both to the squad, Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw. Okay.
Because there's a primary moment in the movie where they actually display, hear me out, gentleness. Which you hear that and you go, that is not what this movie's about. It's about alpha males showing they're strong and fighting people. Because typically when we think of gentleness is I'm weak or I have to treat something as fragile. That's actually not how the Bible even describes gentleness. How the Bible describes gentleness is gentleness is giving up what you want for someone else. Giving up your way for something greater. That's the way they win, is actually through gentleness, hear me out, not through being strong alpha male, even though they end up fighting and it's a cool fight scene with rain and everything at the end of the helicopter. But they give up how much they hate each other so that they can save the world. Boom, gentleness.
If you want to be a great Christ-centered difference maker, how willing are you to actually reject the stuff that you want? And be gentle when people even don't deserve it. So that's great. We're adding Hobbs and Shaw to the crew. The last person we're gonna add to this crew is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's, whatever his name is, Hobbs, his brother in this movie, Jonah. His brother's name is Jonah. There is obviously lots of built-in tension to their relationship. The Rock doesn't want to go back. Hobbs doesn't want to go back. They see each other. They fight about it. They throw some punches. Mom has to come out and settle everybody down.
Hits him with a shoe.
But at the end of this story, Jonah has to wrap his brain around the idea that he needs to forgive his brother. And I think what's the important thing about forgiveness is it's the best way to show love. And I think Jonah is exemplifying what it looks like to love someone, and that's forgiving them even when it's super, super hard. And I think we as Christ-centered difference makers, we gotta be super good at forgiving people and loving people, especially the people we don't wanna love. So, that's the task. Can we do those things this week? Can we work on being gentle? Can we work on loving people? See you next week. Come back next week when we watch a movie about a crazy little child
try and murder 2 adults.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Gentleness and bearing with one another in love. That's another word for forgiveness. I don't know about you, I could use some practice in those. I could use some practice. I was thinking about it this past week, and I just think about the relationships that I have. Let's take my wife for instance. My wife is awesome. I wouldn't trade her for anybody. But do we agree all the time? No. Every single day I have to make a decision. When my wife, Michelle, and I, if we have a disagreement or we don't agree on the same thing and I want one thing and she wants another, I have to make a decision. Am I gonna be gentle? Am I gonna bear with in love? Let's take my son, 5 years old. He breaks rules all the time. I can set these boundaries in place, and if I say, Pierce, look me in the eye, don't do that. And he says, hey, I'm gonna go do that. I have a decision to make. Obviously, he's gonna get disciplined, but how I discipline him I got to choose. Am I going to do it in a way of gentleness and bearing with him in love? It's things that we deal with every single day. I got a question for you. How does this apply to you? When someone at your school, maybe a friend, talks behind your back or hangs out with someone without inviting you, how do you respond? Is it in gentleness and bearing with them in love? And even though they might have hurt your feelings or did something that you don't like, do you forgive them or do you write them off? How about your parents? When your parents say, hey, you are not going to do this, and you choose to break those boundaries, and you get all fired up, how do you respond? Are you gentle? Do you realize, man, my parents love me so much, even though I don't agree with them right now, I'm gonna bear with them in love and I'm gonna just accept it. Those are all people that we love and we struggle with these things. When we face things that we don't agree with in people that we don't like or we don't love, it's even harder. You guys know that. Here's my favorite one. This is something we're actually dealing with right now, and I struggle with sometimes too. Sometimes I can even come to church, and I might be like, Sardella's pizza? I like Barrows. Oh man, Xavier, why'd you play that worship song? I don't like that one. Play Waymaker, man. We all like Waymaker. We all like Promises. Just play those every time. Man, Xavier, I didn't like the message this week. I'm not coming anymore. We deal with this every single day, and we have to make a decision. Are we gonna bear with one another in love and realize that we're not always gonna agree? We're not always gonna like the same things, and are we gonna approach our differences with gentleness? You guys know this. But as I was preparing this past week, I was reminded of our Ephesians series 1 month ago. You guys remember that? I remembered Ephesians chapter 4 when Paul is talking to the churches of Ephesus. And the churches they were starting to divide because they were agreeing on certain things, but when it came to some really important things, they were starting to disagree. And if you guys remember from Ephesians 4, Paul calls the Ephesians into a huddle, and this is what he says to them. It's Ephesians 4, 2 and 3. He says, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. It's right there. Gentle, bearing with in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. These two fruits of the Spirit are all over the Bible. And we have a daily decision that we need to make. When it comes to little things, when it comes to little disagreements, are we gonna be gentle? Are we gonna bear with one another in love? Because it's not always gonna happen. And before I invite Joe out here, I wanna leave you guys with two things tonight. When it comes to being gentle, go check out how Jesus was gentle in this book. When it comes to bearing with one another in love, remember that even though we were still sinners, Christ died for us. He bared with us in love, even though we suck all the time. So we need to bear with each other in love. Let me invite Joe out here. You guys are gonna have a great group time tonight. Let's give it up for Joe.
That's good. Hey, again, group time's gonna be great, but before you go, a couple quick things. Number one, Mexico, it's happening soon. Sign-ups are gonna be closing here this month, so if you have not signed up, make sure you do that. Get all your buddies to go. It's gonna be a highlight of your year, and it's only happening in January. The second thing, believe it or not, next week is our last weekend of 2021 of having a high school experience. It's crazy. I feel like it's still September, but here we are, end of the year. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do an end of the year Christmas party, and it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Couple elements to it. One of the first things is we're going to ask of you, because we want to get in the spirit of giving. I mean, that's what Christmas is about, is helping other people, thinking of others. So if you would like to, we would ask that you bring a kid's toy, unwrapped. I mean, something like under $20, something really easy. We want to donate to this Christmas tree program to give to kids in need, kids who may not be getting a toy this Christmas. So we want to be giving to that. And our team is going to practice generosity by, if you bring a toy, we'll enter you in a raffle, and we'll give away some stuff ourselves to those of you who brought. So go ahead, make it a thing with your group, bring some toys, maybe win a raffle. But the second thing that night is we're going to have a group-wide competition to see who can make the best human Christmas tree. You're probably thinking, what is a human Christmas tree? I'm glad you asked, because the only rule is at least one person has to be involved in said tree. Now, what that looks like, it's totally up to you, but I'll give you a couple examples. This one, the person or the group decided to make a pyramid tree with lots of people. Very fun. This other picture is the person is the tree. So however you want to do it, the prize is epic. Whatever group makes the most creative, it doesn't have to be the largest, just the most creative and best Christmas tree, we are going to give your group a gift of an experience. It could be Top Golf, could be going to the nail salon, maybe a Suns game. I don't know. We're going to let you choose, but we will foot the bill for it as long as you make it epic. We're also going to have some treats, some hot chocolate, but that is all happening next week to end our year. We love you all. Enjoy group time. We'll see you next week.